Hello, everyone. My name's Libby Walunas. I am an autistic yoga therapist. My main area of interest is in mental health, mental well-being, and I'm particularly focusing on neurodivergent people, especially autistic adults. Today, I want to talk about a really simple yet deep embodiment practice that I've learned as part of my additional training as an embodiment coach. To give full credit, I learned this technique from Embodiment Unlimited, which is a training group located in the UK. So I did not make this up. If you're interested in learning more about them, it's Embodiment Unlimited. If you just Google that, it will come up. And there are plenty of instructors there. So if one of them does not appeal to you, there'll be plenty more. The name of the technique I want to talk about today is called the 4 elements. And this can be used for different purposes, but today I'd like to talk about it as a form of brainstorming. And that means basically intuitive planning or intuitive decision-making, creatively coming up with ways to approach our needs or solve problems. And sometimes as autistic people, we tend to do it cognitively. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. And this is just a way to bring the body into that decision-making process. Because this whole beautiful self-care camp is about autistic culture, I got to thinking about why embodiment is so important to me when I'm helping a client start to meet their own needs. And one of the reasons that I thought of was that autistic culture really highly values congruence. What is on the outside should match what is on the inside, right? We value saying what we mean, meaning what we say. Some of us have a hard time turning off the facial expressions. Maybe you've been in a Zoom and you say, ugh. And then you look and say, uh-oh, I didn't filter that, right? Because what's inside comes out, what's out comes in. Sometimes we respond really strongly to things in our environment or in our interactions because we're naturally seeking balance between what's inside and what's outside. And when that can't happen for whatever reason, sometimes that can result in discomfort or in disability. We tend to feel what we need in our bodies a lot of the time. And we may have a hard time identifying that or expressing it. So to help get our needs met, we need to be as clear as possible about what our needs are. And developing some internal awareness in different ways can help us to do that. Because sometimes, if we just are thinking and thinking and thinking about our needs, putting those thoughts into words, people who hear it might not really get what we need. We know there's a lot of medical gaslighting for us, and we know there's a lot of overshadowing, diagnostic overshadowing, where a healthcare provider will say, well, that must be due to the autism. Well, maybe not. Or, you don't really feel that, honey. It's okay. Just XYZ, just do this thing. But if we can get very, very crystal clear about what we need from a visceral, intuitive source, it might help us to go deeper and clearer about what we need to advocate for ourselves. And maybe that could help us get our needs met. So this method of doing that, 4 elements, is really an analogy. And I know sometimes metaphors are not great. I'm not going to tell you to become something, but what I'm going to invite you to do is to think, and it might take some time, so feel free to go at a slower pace than I am, but think about what each element might feel like in your body. And I'm going to explain those elements. They are earth, water, fire, and air. So this kind of conceptual thinking may appeal to you, but if it doesn't, you can always think in more concrete terms. Like if you're thinking of earth, you can actually call up the feeling, remember the sense of holding a rock in your hands, or how it felt maybe as a kid, maybe you dropped a heavy rock onto the ground or anything heavy onto the ground, right? And experience that, very satisfying, right? Of something down to the ground, that sort of thing. Or maybe with water, you want to recall the feeling of a pleasant experience you had with water, whether that was swimming in a cold lake or, gently having warm water run over your hands in the sink, or whatever you prefer. You may need to do something very specific that sort of way. With fire, it may be being in beautiful, warm sunshine, or maybe in a sauna if you like it hot. With air, you might think about something like a breeze blowing over your skin, or maybe a fan blowing on you if you like that. Or if not, maybe you like to visualize. Maybe your brain likes that and you want to visualize seeing clouds blowing across the sky. So whatever it is that brings that element to you, feel free to call up whatever it is. I'm going to give some examples and I'm going to show them in my body to you. But if those don't resonate with you, please feel free to reach to something else in your experience, or feel free to take a note and think about it later. You don't have to do everything right now. And of course, this is your time. You're in charge of it. So if anything I say or suggest does not feel right for you right now, just skip it. No problem. Or substitute with something that feels better for you. Yeah. Even if you want to pause this video and take some time to make some notes or do some thinking and do some processing before you watch me do things with my body, then yeah, do that. That's fine too. Or you can come back and do it twice. It's all up to you. But for me, I'm going to get started showing you some examples of ways that have been pretty successful for me as an autistic embodiment student and trainer, and for clients I've had to use when they're trying to learn kind of how to feel these elements in their body. And I'll be talking to you about not just the feelings of the elements, but also how they may relate to certain things in our lives, certain types of interactions, or certain ways we present ourselves, or certain needs we may have. To do that, I'm going to stand up and move farther away from the camera. You can feel free to do these practices standing or sitting. So I have a chair here, and from time to time, I'll try to remember to use it to show what it might look like if you're not standing up. The first element is earth. For these purposes, see how much you can think of earth as something heavy, firm, stable, solid, contained. In excess, this can mean rigidity. In balance, it can mean stability. A good way to start is to notice your feet on the ground. If you're sitting in a chair, sit toward the edge of the chair so your feet are flat on the ground. You can also bring your attention to your seat in the chair if you like. Standing or sitting, notice your feet touching the ground. Maybe you notice the shape your feet make on the ground. If it's not comfortable for you, it's okay. Just put your focus on the ground itself, or you can press your feet into the ground a bit. Next, we can try moving more. You can raise your legs up and down and press them into the ground. Or if you're standing, you can heavily, right? Heavily. Feel how gravity works, how firm the ground is under you. Don't move too much and think what feels like earth in the body right now. Moving down. How are you being steady? If you have space, you might want to walk in a square. A square is very earthy, stable, contained. Yeah? Whatever feels right to you. And if you'd like to use other senses, you can give yourself sound. Okay, this is a little goofy, but the one I like is that classical piece of music that goes no 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 no. but it's very low. It's very down. That's earth. Okay. You have that feeling in your body, then think to yourself, what about that feels familiar? If you're moving, you can keep moving or you can stop and be still. Either way, it's fine. And just think. Maybe you want to say it out loud or write it down or just think inside. What feels familiar about that to you? Where have you experienced that before? Or what about it feels unfamiliar to you? Do you want more of that in your life? Do you need more of that in your life? Or do you need less? For Earth, a lot of times we need that if we need more structure, or if we need better ability to organize, or to contain, or to bring in energies that are maybe feeling scattered. Sometimes we need Earth more for that sort of situation in our lives or interaction in our lives. If you have to regularly deal with someone who's very high energy and kind of scattered and you tend to go with them, because I know sometimes we mimic the people we're with, right? Maybe you need more earth, ground, down for yourself so you don't get carried away with them. Or maybe you're feeling dysregulated and you need some grounding to help soothe yourself. It can be useful for that as well. These are just some examples. Could be anything that comes up from you, from your body. Your body will tell you this. So as you do this practice and get more familiar with it over time, those needs, do I need more of this or do I need less of this, will come up from the body intuition more naturally. And it may take some time, and that's okay. The next element is water. The water, I've got to stand up for water because water is dancing, right? Water is flow, right? Water is flow. So think about flow. Maybe you like to move around, sweeping motions. Maybe you're a spinning. I can't spin. As a kid, I span all day long. Now I can no longer do it. But something flowing gently, not too fast. Maybe it's just side to side. Of course, in the chair, you could also sit and wave side to side. And now think about qualities of water. Maybe you're thinking sensorily, like you're pulling your fingers through a waterfall. Or maybe you're just abstractly, if you prefer, thinking about water. Water is accepting. Water is letting in, flowing around. Right? And water is a relational element. So for watery people, they want to be with other people and flow with them and be in relation to them and accommodate them. Sometimes this is natural to us and sometimes it's trained into us. So think again, what's familiar with this? Or unfamiliar? Do you need more of that or do you need less? Water says yes. Maybe try in your body, step back and receive yes. Does that feel good, right? Do you need more of that? Or is that something you need to do less of? Maybe we need less water if we need to work on setting boundaries in our lives. And sometimes these kinds of practices, yes, I'm open, give more to me. Sometimes that's what we think we're supposed to be doing, but sometimes we do too much of that. And sometimes your body will tell you, you stand yes for a while. Wait a minute. Actually, this makes me want to go, do less of that. Because I need to set more boundaries and say no, so I don't get burnt out. Sometimes that's necessary too. Or maybe we need to be a little more flexible and we actually do need more of this flowing. Yeah. But think about that. Water. Where do you need more or less of that? The next element is kind of the opposite of that. Fire. Fire is direction. Fire is forward. Yeah. In Indic pre-colonial philosophy and medical system, fire is associated with processing for our own good, so digestion and things like that. It's also associated with light and vision. So when you think vision and fire, think direction. In a chair, that may in the body look like maybe even taking your arm for real, looking straight ahead, pinpoint, or choose something you want to look at. Look at it. Direct your attention, focus. This may be a rising feeling in the body. If you're standing and you want to walk, you'll walk with purpose. I'm going to walk toward the camera, forward. Now I'm going to walk back. I'm decisive, I know where I'm going. For this, you could step forward and say, this, not that. Sometimes we need to say, this, not that. And not be afraid to say to someone else, this, not that. This is for me. Sometimes we may also need to say, no. It can be fiery and still be gentle because it comes from an inner fire. Again, you could step forward just a bit. You hold your power in reserve because it's there for you. Directly in front of yourself, palm out, you can say, no. No. If you don't feel comfortable with this, maybe be more gentle starting. You could do sitting, but still firmly, no. Straight line, no. Because you have the right to do that. And sometimes we may need to think, do I need more of this fire? Stand up for myself, set that boundary, set that goal. Or maybe sometimes we need less of that fire. Because maybe sometimes it's a little quick to draw. Maybe sometimes we could say, maybe let a little more water in. And maybe not be quite so overriding others. Maybe sometimes we do that. And maybe it could be you need to soothe the fire a little. To soothe the fire, water practice. Yeah. But too much water, more fire. It's all available to you because it's all inside you. And you just let your body tell you what you need more of. The last one is air. Air, of course, you can do in a chair. Yeah, you can do anything in a chair. But if you're standing, you may get to dance again. Dance, because up in the air is where we pull in our creativity. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, anything goes. My teacher used to say, imagine you're a unicorn. Write your own name with your horn. Oh, yeah. It could be anything. Maybe you're one of these club kids. I can't do that. Ooh. But whatever feels like, yeah, woo, air. I got creativity. I got ideas. Whoa, man, amazing. Sometimes we need that. Now, some of us, like about 50% of us who also have ADHD, sometimes we may have too much of that. So again, think to yourself, do I need more of this? Do I need to pull in this creativity that's available from the universe for me? Or do I maybe need to bring that energy in more to center? Because maybe there's a lot of starting things, but not following through. That's me. Or maybe there's a lot of great ideas, but they kind of become overwhelming and you can't start. That's also me. Okay. So there can be a little too much air. It might be one or the other. If you need to bring that air center in, something that could help is a beautiful centering exercise that I'll show you just to close out so that we can end in kind of a balanced and centered space. I'm going to sit in the chair to show this. It's quite nice to do in a chair, but you could also sit on the floor and do, or sit in a bed and do. Feet flat if you're in a chair. And just take a moment to, again, feel the feet on the ground. Feel the seat in the chair. Notice the contact points, specifically the contact points where your skin is touching whatever it is that's supporting you. Yes, you're probably wearing clothing, but notice the pressure of your seat on the chair, your feet on the floor. If it's comfortable for your body, sit upright. Let your head be a little bit rising up, like almost like you're stretching your ears toward the ceiling. Just a little bit, not a lot. Just sitting up with a sense of dignity. Then this method is called EROS. Eros, nothing to do with romance, it's just an acronym. And it was created by an embodiment specialist called Francis Briers. E, you start expanding up the front. So as you inhale your breath, see if you can notice a sense of expansion through the front of the body. R, relax the back. As you exhale, relax from the top of your head down your back. O, openness. Allow a sense of openness in your lower back, kind of as if it's spreading open just a little bit. And S, sink. Sink into the seat, whatever is supporting you, and let it do its job. Let it hold you up. And again, feel the grounding pressure between your seat and the chair, and your feet and the floor. I'm going to come back to the camera now. You can feel free to stay sitting as you are, or you can, of course, move your body however feels right to you. So, a great way to get started with this is just to try it out in your body, even if it's only for a few seconds. And then maybe you'll want to work up to practicing a little bit longer. Again, it doesn't really matter if you're doing the same things that I did. What matters is that you're accessing these different parts of you. We're all combinations of these elements. We all have different proportions of them. And sometimes the proportions that we're born with are kind of adjusted, whether we want them to be or not, by how other people have interacted with us in our lives. So sometimes some of us are naturally earthy people, right? We want to be very structured and have our own way of doing things. And we're kind of forced to be more flexible than we're comfortable with. Maybe we have to be more watery because our job demands that we interact with other people and be very accommodating. And that can be very hard. We want to do things the earth the right way, right? Of course, it would be weird if that wasn't uncomfortable. But if you maybe do need to find different areas of your life where you can bring in more earth to offset that forced wateriness that sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right? Sometimes you don't have an option, and that's just being an adult. Sometimes that's very. There still can be other areas in your life where you could bring that earth out, bring it more to the fore, deliberately practice earthy practices like grounding, like earthing, going outside, if it's sensorily okay with you, right? Bare feet on the grass. Or maybe spending time among rocks and ground in nature. Or if trees are more your thing and that gets you grounded, go literally hug a tree. There's nothing wrong with that. There's so many options available to us in so many different ways that practice can look. If maybe you need more fire, right? Because maybe you were kind of raised to be watery again, or maybe you were raised to be very structured, but you actually want to go and do the thing you want to do right now. Maybe you're more spontaneous because you've got the ADHD combo going on or something like that. And maybe you need more fire and say, nope, I'm doing this. This is right for me, not that. Boundary work can happen in a lot of different contexts. A lot of times, cognitive therapies don't work great for many autistic people. So it might be worth looking into a body-based modality like yoga therapy or like a somatic type of therapy. And that can help us to get even more in touch with our internal wisdom and also learn ways that we can talk to other people about it so that they will actually understand. Not that the burden is all on us to make them understand, but why not help ourselves out where we can? Yeah. And that's the purpose of me being here today, just to mention that there are so many different ways that we can access our intuition to get more clear about our needs. And they don't all have to be about thinking and analyzing. I mean, I love thinking and analyzing way too much, but sometimes it leads to rumination, and it just is that, the thing that keeps you awake at night thinking, oh, but maybe it's that, oh, I should do this, or why they do that, or maybe the best way is this, or why didn't this work? And it just goes on and on and on. A way to get out of that loop is to go into the body. So we can't think our way out of the problems sometimes. Sometimes we have to get into the body. And that body intuition is a real thing. It's not woo-woo. There are ways that our brains work consciously and unconsciously, right? And one of the unconscious ways that it works with the body is by taking in signals from the gut, literally the physical gut, from the nerves there, and also from the skin and from the muscles and from the connective tissue. The brain is taking in this information, but we have to open ourselves to it in order to access it on a conscious level so we can do something about it. Yeah? So I would suggest perhaps trying at least 2 of the 4 elements the next time you have a spare moment to do a little body practice, and just see what talks to you. Open yourself up to it as much as feels comfortable. And again, if you feel like you want to do some writing, some thinking, some talking about it beforehand, that's good too. Set yourself up with a little structure. I feel like I'm complete and would like to bring the session to a close. I hope everyone has a wonderful time and learns a lot about self-care for our autistic needs. Thank you.